Welcome back. As we've been reporting, another shakeup at the White House. President Trump's chief economic advisor, Gary Cohn, announced his resignation yesterday after losing the fight over tariffs on steel and aluminum. Joining me right now is former deputy assistant to President Trump and Fox News national security analyst, Sebastian Gorka. Sebastian, good to see you. Thanks very much for joining us.
My pleasure, Maria, as always.
It feels like this was a fight between the free traders and the more protectionist ideas within the White House. What happened?
Well, look, it's not a fight between two blocks. I always thought that description of what went on in the White House was overly simplistic. This is a victory for the president's agenda. He has an unusual management style. He is a decisive individual who's very comfortable with unusually high levels of conflict amongst his team because he wants to see the best arguments win. And in this case, you know, the president made it clear he's here to revitalize business. The idea that, you know, we only have 600,000 people in the steel industry, therefore what? We can't have more than 600,000? It's fallacious. So Gary lost, but this is a victory for the president, not for some specific bloc.
Maybe, but you served in this administration. You know how the president works in terms of, you know, listening to a lot of different ideas. And you say that, you know, the steel industry has 600,000 workers, but all the other industries, in terms of those industries that are using steel, using aluminum, talking about 6 million jobs. So do you impact those jobs negatively while you try to save a much smaller population in the steel industry?
I've always rejected the idea that an economy is a closed system. This is what the left believes, that you can't have, you've got to have a net loss from somebody for somebody else to gain. That's what socialism believes. It's not true. You can have an economy expand. You can have the steel sector expand and have manufacturing expand at the same time, but also on the tariffs, Maria, everybody who's commenting now and who has no idea what the future holds on any negotiations needs to slow down and take a deep breath. The president has a very powerful way of negotiating. So let's not predict disaster in any sector until we get to the end of the road. He did it with NATO. He's done it with lots of other institutions. This is as much about a powerful negotiating position as it is about actual tariffs at the end of the day.
Well, now, the president did say yesterday that should he get a good deal on NAFTA, a new deal, Canada and Mexico will be exempt from these tariffs. But, Seb, you've got a lot of people pushing back here, from global CEOs to the Wall Street Journal op-ed page to the Chamber of Commerce. Why is this a good idea? And doesn't this take away so much of the progress this president has made with his deregulation and tax cut plan?
Maria, listen to who you just listed. The president was not elected to represent the Wall Street Journal or the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Listen to what he said when we pulled out of Paris. I was elected to represent the citizens of Pittsburgh, not the citizens of Paris. And that's exactly what he's doing. He is the anti-establishment candidate, as much anti-GOP as anti-DNC. He won despite the Rhino establishment, not because of them, and more power to his elbow. God bless him. He's here for the American worker. He's here for the people who voted for him in Youngstown, Ohio, not for the Chamber of Commerce. We've had enough of the establishment getting their way, and they don't represent American interests. I'm sorry. It's just a fact.
Maybe so, but are you saying that this could be the president playing poker? Are you saying this is the art of the deal?
Look, I tell everybody, you want to understand my old boss? Read Chapter 2 of The Art of the Deal. Chapter 1 is about a life in the day of Donald Trump as a businessman. It's fascinating. Get to Chapter 2 and read what he does and how he gets to where he wishes to be in any deal. And one thing that's very important for anybody who wants to understand him, he says, never ever be invested in a deal so deeply that you can never walk away from it. He is the master of the deal.
So, I mean, I know you have the president's ear. Did he tell you this is just a negotiation that he's doing?
I'm not going to comment on that on live television, Maria.
Let me ask you this, Sebastian, because we have a poll here. 50% of the people say they're against these tariffs. People are worried that it's going to take away from economic growth. Why is it so important to have a trade surplus? I mean, isn't economic growth the president's first priority? Is he going to take away economic growth with these moves?
Absolutely not. I mean, I'd just asked the question, are these the same pollsters who said on November the 8th that Hillary had a 93% chance of winning? Look, this is about the long game. And I ask everybody, I don't care whether you voted for him or not, I really don't care if you voted at all. Look at what he's accomplished in just 14 months. Just look at the economic indices. I mean, it's stunning. Lowest unemployment for 17 years. Lowest Hispanic, African, and African-American unemployment since records began. Lowest female unemployment for 19 years. Look at the stock market. Look at just the...
I know, but this is why people's hairs are on fire, right? I mean, because they're worried that it's going to be reversed. I got to switch gears, Sebastian. I've got to ask you about immigration, because the Department of Justice now, Jeff Sessions, taking California to court over its immigration policy. This administration wants to strike down 3 state laws that protect illegal immigrants. The Attorney General will address California law enforcement today in Sacramento to give us more details on the lawsuit. I've wondered how it's possible that California gets away with being a sanctuary city, blowing off federal law. What can we expect here?
We can expect a judicious application of the supremacy clause of the Constitution. Since the very beginning of the founding of our nation, it is very clear what the federal government has a mandate to do. And guess what? One of them is immigration. Mayors in San Francisco or governors in California have zero, and I mean zero, constitutional authority to deal with matters of immigration. And when you impede the authorities in the execution of their federal mandate, you are committing a crime, at least obstruction of justice, and California has been doing it for far too long. That's what's going to be coming out of the AG's speech today.
Look, Jeff Sessions, obviously people want to see him get to work on this, so we'll be watching that. Final question here, Sebastian, and that is back to this trade situation. How far is the president willing to push here? Because 2 weeks ago we saw Justin Trudeau from Canada come out and say, I'm willing to walk. He seems to be playing the tough game that the president is playing. Can the president negotiate and do the art of the deal when the guy on the other side is doing the same thing?
Maria, if you had to choose between Donald Trump and Justin Trudeau as to who's going to win in a negotiation, you know who to put your money on.
Sebastian Gorka, it's good to see you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Good stuff.